Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we explore F Troop, the iconic 60s sitcom whose endless laughs and memorable characters made its mark on television. Sadly, many of the stars associated with the show have passed away. In this video, we remember 11 beloved F Troop cast members and their legacy. Forrest Tucker as Sergeant Morgan O'Rourke. Forrest Tucker was born on February 12, 1919 in Plainfield, Indiana. He made a strong impression as Sergeant Morgan O'Rourke in the comedy series F Troop from 1965 to 1946. O'Rourke was a smooth-talking cavalry sergeant who made business sense out of the disasters of a Wild West. The role made Tucker a familiar face to American audiences throughout the 1960s. But his personal life was filled with silent pain. Tucker grew up with an alcoholic mother, and his romantic childhood left scars that would not heal. After he shot to fame with Auntie Mame in 1958, he fell into a downward spiral of partying, began drinking heavily, and gradually became addicted to drugs. The three ruined homes left deep scars, with his first wife accusing him of abuse and requiring police intervention, while his second wife died of a heart attack, sending Tucker into a deep depression. The insecurity, combined with the pressure of fame, sent him into a downward spiral of farming, debt, and increasingly uncontrollable alcoholism. As his career declined in the late 1970s, Tucker tried to regain his reputation with small roles in Chisholm, 1970, and various television series, but he could not sustain his image tarnished by alcohol. It is said that once he collapsed on stage, he would become so drunk that he could not stand, leaving his colleagues in despair and ruining relationships. The pressure, loneliness, and the midnight commute back to his hometown took a heavy toll on his physical and mental health, nearly draining him financially from his drunken nights of gambling. On October 25, 1986, Forrest Tucker died at the age of 67 from leukemia and emphysema, the result of decades of smoking and drinking. He died after multiple hospitalizations, and even his induction into the Hollywood Walk of Fame was postponed. Tucker lay motionless at Forest Lawn, a cemetery in the Hollywood Hills, leaving behind a modest net worth of about $500,000, nearly ruined by gambling and a debauched lifestyle, bringing to a tragic end one of the most beloved stars of 1960s television. Melody Patterson as Wrangler Jane. Melody Patricia Patterson was born on April 16, 1949 in Inglewood, California. At just 16, she bravely lied about her age to land the role of Wrangler Jane in F Troop, 1965. Portraying a strong, soulful frontier woman who falls in love with Captain Parmenter. The role made Melody a young star loved by audiences across America, catapulting her to fame overnight. But behind the glittering aura was a challenging youth and deep emotional wounds that Melody never truly healed. At a young age, her sudden fame thrust Melody Patterson into complex and unbalanced power relationships with older men. Most notably, her marriage to actor James MacArthur of Hawaii Five-0 fame raised high expectations for her, but quickly ended in tragedy. Rumors of emotional abuse and infidelity circulated throughout the marriage, leaving Melody deeply hurt and distrustful of those around her. When her career stalled after the cancellation of F Troop, Melody pinned her hopes on auditioning for the film Bonnie and Clyde. But when she failed to get the role, she fell into a serious mental breakdown and began to give up her passion for acting. In the 1970s, Melody's misfortune continued when she was involved in a serious car accident. The traffic accident left Melody dependent on painkillers for a long time, gradually leading her into a spiral of addiction and having to rehab several times. In the years that followed, Melody Patterson tried to bounce back by appearing in stage shows and writing for Cowboy magazine, but her career never regained the luster it had enjoyed as a teenager. Colleagues recall her becoming increasingly obsessed with UFO conspiracy theories and becoming withdrawn even suspicious of those who loved her to the point of cutting off contact with many of her old friends. Melody later moved to Missouri and lived in a nursing home, lonely and quiet, grieving the loss of 3 homes, no children, and no close family. She died on August 20th, 2015 at the age of 66 from multiple organ failure, possibly related to the long-term health consequences of the accident and her addiction. Her net worth at the time of her death was only about $300,000, reflecting a short, unstable career and personal tragedies that never truly healed. Ken Barry as Captain Wilton Parmenter. Ken Barry was born on November 3, 1933 in Moline, Illinois. He became a familiar face to audiences when he played Captain Wilton Parmenter in the 1965 film F Troop at the age of 32. Parmenter was a shy, sincere, and friendly commander who brought endless laughter to the audience throughout the 2 seasons of the show. The role transformed Barry from a dancer and singer into a sitcom star, showcasing his excellent acting skills and his always strong physical comedy. But behind the laughter, Ken Barry's life was complicated and turbulent. As a child, Barry dreamed of being like Fred Astaire, but when the music industry collapsed, he was forced to turn to television and struggled to find his footing. After Mayberry RFD was abruptly canceled in 1971, Barry suffered a major blow and began to become rigid and demanding on set, often demanding perfection to the point of alienating his colleagues. His marriage to actress Jackie Joseph ended in 1977, surrounded by estrangement and rumors of infidelity. After the split, Barry seemed to withdraw, keeping his distance even from his 2 adopted children, which strained the family atmosphere and hurt many people. In the 1980s, despite having the chance to shine again with his mother's family, Barry still couldn't shake off his insecurities. Series after series was canceled, leaving him depressed, doubting his own courage, and surrounded by never-confirmed rumors of complicated relationships between men and women. Barry avoided major scandals but was constantly suspended, which weighed heavily on his spirit. The death of his adopted son from cancer in 2016, followed by the deaths of his 2 adopted daughters 4 years later, added to the loneliness of the father who dreamed of a perfect family. On December 1, 2018, Ken Barry died at the age of 85 from heart complications after a long period of poor health. Despite an estimated net worth of $4 million, thanks to a long career in television and film, he ended his life in deep loneliness, leaving behind a native and humorous character who will always be remembered by audience. Larry Storch as Corporal Randolph Agarn. Larry Storch was born on January 8, 1923, in New York City. He became an unforgettable comedian with his role as Corporal Randolph Agarn, O'Rourke's partner in F Troop in 1965 when he was 42 years old. With his unique voice and excellent mimicry skills, Storch became a staple of the show for 2 seasons, even earning an Emmy nomination in 1967. But behind the scenes, his life was full of turmoil. Even as his career flourished with vaudeville and cartoon voiceovers, Storch struggled with unrelenting grief, worrying producers and colleagues. His wife, Norma Catherine Grieve, endured several silent separations, while his daughter, Candace, called him an absentee father because he often disappeared even from his own home. After F Troop ended, Larry tried to find more serious roles but failed miserably, leading to feelings of jealousy towards his later co-stars, especially Forrest Tucker. The pressures of his career combined with loneliness led him to turn to alcohol as an escape, leading to a series of conflicts and vague rumors of romantic relationships. In the 1980s, as work became increasingly scarce, Larry fell into a deep depression, sometimes locking himself away for weeks without seeing anyone. His daughter later revealed a childhood filled with admiration for her father, interspersed with fits of rage. Yet for viewers, Corporal Agarn remains synonymous with laughter and joy, obscuring the dark shadows of the former driller's instability. Laughter is also a way of survival, but that laughter is sometimes a nightmare. he once said. Larry Storch died in his sleep on July 8, 2022, at the age of 99. He reportedly died of natural causes after years of battling complications from Alzheimer's disease. His net worth at the time was around $1 million, mostly from television contracts and voiceover earnings, capping off a nearly century-long journey of countless laughs and tears that could never be fully recovered. Frank DeCova as Chief Wild Eagle. Frank DeCova was born on March 17, 1910. He was 55 years old when he played Chief Wild Eagle in the series F Troop from 1965 to 1967. He portrayed the intelligent and right-minded leader of the Hakawi tribe, who often wasted soldiers at Fort Courage and left a strong impression on viewers. The role made DeCova a familiar face on television, continuing a string of villainous roles he had played on stage and screen. Behind the sinister smile of Chief Wild Eagle, Frank DeCova endured years of loneliness and insecurity. He never married but faced rumors about his private life, including doubts about his ability to connect emotionally and potential mental breakdowns. Friends revealed that DeCova had suffered from severe depression, especially as his career slowly declined after its peak in the 1960s. Although admired for his talent, he often suffered from stress as he argued with directors over his creative ideas, leading to many projects being abandoned. He spent much of his later years in a quiet house in California, surrounded by only a few loyal friends. Even the biggest roles of his life could not save him from a fragile reality, as work became scarce and his health began to fail. Pride and stubbornness caused Frank DeCova to miss out on many career opportunities in his later years, forcing him to watch his reputation fade. He breathed his last breath on October 15, 1981, at the age of 71 after suffering a heart attack in his sleep, ending a turbulent journey. Frank DeCova was buried at Forest Lawn, a cemetery in the Hollywood Hills, leaving behind a net worth of about $800,000. A modest figure compared to his acting legacy, but also a fairly accurate reflection of a life filled with loneliness, hardship, and unrealistic hopes for both fame and love. James Hampton as Hannibal Dobbs. James Wade Hampton was born on July 9, 1936. He was 29 years old when he played Hannibal Dobbs, the goofy but lovable brass trooper of F Troop, from 1965 to 1967. The role brought Hampton considerable fame on television and paved the way for many opportunities in his later film career. Audiences remember Dobbs as a simple, goofy, but lovable character who contributed significantly to the comedy of the series. Behind his cheerful on-screen persona, James Hampton struggled to overcome the difficulties of being cast in comedic roles throughout his career. Even after being nominated for a Golden Globe for The Longest Yard and gaining attention for Teen Wolf, Hampton often lamented that he never had the chance to pursue truly dramatic leading roles. The pressures of his career made him rigid and irritable with younger colleagues, especially on later film sets, leading to rumors of his difficult and demanding personality. In his personal life, his marriage to actress Mary Dees was long but often strained, and Hampton's son later said that he was sometimes cold and unsympathetic towards his family. Furthermore, a genetic blood disorder that Hampton kept secret for years took a toll on his health, along with persistent fatigue and mental decline. In the final years of his career, he was embroiled in a lawsuit with a film production company over royalties, which further damaged his image. James Hampton passed away on April 7, 2021, at the age of 84 from complications of Parkinson's disease, ending a difficult and memorable journey in the American entertainment industry. He leaves behind a net worth of about $1.5 million. Not a large sum, but well-deserved after decades of dedication, leadership, and integrity, along with countless memories of the lovable Dobbs character that audiences will always love. Bob Steele as Private Duffy. Bob Steele was born on January 23, 1907. He was 58 years old when he played Private Duffy in F Troop from 1965 to 1957, playing an old soldier raising a glass to celebrate after fighting alongside Davy Crockett at the Alamo. The role brought out Steele's comedic side, despite his reputation as tough cowboy heroes decades earlier. F Troop brought him to a new generation of audiences, despite his film career being cut short. Outside of his entertainment career, Steele endured personal turmoil, with his first two homes falling apart after his wife accused him of infidelity and emotional abuse, leaving behind unhappy family relationships. These setbacks were compounded by Steele's alcoholism, which led to his uncontrollable behavior. He was repeatedly called in by film crews for his uncooperative attitude, delayed filming, and lack of key actors during the height of his career. By the 1950s, Steele was also deeply in debt, losing most of his earnings from hundreds of westerns. The financial difficulties, combined with the pressures of aging, led to a period of depression from which he relied on friends and support groups to recover. Fortunately, Steele decided to join Alcoholics Anonymous and successfully sobered up, regaining his independence and some dignity in his later years. Bob Steele died on December 21, 1988, at the age of 81, from complications of emphysema, likely caused by his long-time smoking habit. His net worth at the time of his death was only about $400,000, after many ups and downs and mistakes. But his roles, from the tough cowboy to the witty soldier Duffy, still leave a deep impression on Western fans. Edward Everett Horton was born on March 18, 1886. He was 79 years old when he appeared in F Troop from 1965 to 1966, playing Roaring Chicken, an eccentric tribal medicine man who brought a satirical and philosophical spirit to the show. Despite his popularity, Horton suffered from internal conflict. Constantly relegated to supporting roles, rarely given the chance to play the lead, he often hid his conflicts with a humble demeanor and a subtle sense of humor. But close friends remember Horton often lamenting his feelings of being undervalued in the industry. His personal life was also private and mysterious, as he never married, leading to many rumors about his romantic orientation and private affairs. Horton, a notorious perfectionist, hosted lavish parties at his Bellyacres estate that attracted both Hollywood's elite and eccentric artists, causing scandal. Behind the scenes, his perfectionism sometimes put pressure on his colleagues, especially when he insisted that every detail of his demeanor be perfect. At the same time, Horton quietly battled chronic health problems as he grew older and his health gradually declined. Edward Everett Horton died of cancer on September 29, 1970, at the age of 84, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $2 million, thanks to a long and enduring career on stage and in the theater. His legacy lives on, especially through his brilliant comedic roles and storytelling voice that have been etched in the memories of generations of audiences. James Gregory as Major Duncan. James Gregory was born on December 23, 1911. He joined F Troop in 1966 at the age of 55, taking on the role of Major Duncan, a stern officer often flustered by the chaos at Fort Courage. With his deep, powerful voice and commanding demeanor, Gregory quickly became a staple of the series. Behind the scenes, however, Gregory was dealing with personal turmoil. He endured a strained 58-year marriage beset by rumors of infidelity on both sides and eventually ended in a quiet divorce. His conservative political views also endangered many of his more liberal Hollywood colleagues, leading to rumors that he had been unofficially blacklisted. On stage, Gregory's imperious personality and high standards made many of his fellow performers nervous, although no one questioned his talent or professionalism. This pressure sometimes isolated Gregory even in his own grief, especially during the heights of his career. He died on September 16, 2002, at the age of 90 from cancer, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $1.2 million, amassed over decades of work on stage and screen, and a legacy that was both admired and controversial and hard to forget. Joe Brooks as Sheriff Vanderbilt. John Joseph Joe Brooks Jr. was born on December 14, 1923 in Los Angeles. He was 41 when he landed the role of Trooper Vanderbilt in F Troop 1965, portraying a compassionate but good-natured soldier who contributed to Fort Courage's only comedy. Brooks' portrayal of Vanderbilt, a nearly blind guard, won over audiences and became a series staple. Brooks began his acting career early, making his debut in 1944 in the war film The Fighting Seabees, starring alongside John Wayne. However, his Hollywood dreams were dashed when he was drafted into the Army to serve in the South Pacific during World War II. After returning from the war, Brooks attempted to make a career change and spent decades stuck on base and in supporting roles, until he finally got lucky when he was recruited into F Troop. Brooks himself found the idea of playing Vanderbilt as a close-knit protector, turning a seemingly tough character into a source of humor, which kept him on the show throughout its run. In his personal life, Brooks kept things put and avoided the scandals that plagued many of his co-stars. His marriage to Betty Jean Davis, which lasted more than 40 years and produced 4 children, was considered strong and peaceful until her death in 1991. The shock of losing his wife left Brooks withdrawn, rarely appearing on set and avoiding the media. Friends say he sometimes felt unfairly treated for never being able to move beyond being an extra, but he remained diligent and kind in his work. Brooks's career included more than 20 films and countless television series, from East of Eden, The Young Lions, Robin and the Seven Hoods to The $6 Million Man and Bewitched. He rarely achieved stardom but made his mark through his perseverance, kind nature, and natural acting. Brooks died on December 5, 2007 in Los Angeles, just days before his 84th birthday, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $600,000, thanks to his supporting roles and frequent on-screen presence. John Mitchum as Hoffman Muller. John Mitchum was born on September 6, 1919. He was 46 when he starred in F Troop from 1965 to 1967, playing Hoffman Muller, a friendly German soldier who brought plenty of light-hearted laughter to audiences. Despite his solid career, John Mitchum endured personal hardships, especially after the death of his son, John Jack Mitchum, from stomach cancer, a shock that led to a long-term depression. Broken marriages, along with rumors of infidelity and public conflict, weighed heavily on his spirit. He sometimes used alcohol to heal his pain, leading to provocative acts on stage, although his peers respected him for his genuine talent. In addition to acting, Mitchum was a multi-talented artist, with a passion for writing poetry and music, which he found as a way to cope with his insecurities. However, his emotional pain and family pressures never left him, leaving him with a quiet loneliness. As the younger brother of Robert Mitchum, he lived in the long shadow of his older brothers. John Mitchum died on November 29, 2001, after suffering 3 strokes at the age of 82. He left behind an estimated net worth of $600,000, largely from his sponsorship and writing, along with a passionate and meaningful artistic legacy. Don Diamond as Mad Cat. Don Diamond was born on June 4, 1921. He was 44 years old when he joined F Troop in 1965 and 1967, playing Mad Cat, the naive and loyal assistant to Chief Wild Eagle, a character beloved by audiences for his innocence and wisdom. However, Diamond's Spanish and Mexican accents became a double whammy, limiting him to supporting roles and rarely landing the leading roles he desired. This unfortunate professional behavior continued for years, especially as he noticed his co-stars advancing faster. During the filming of F Troop, Diamond also developed a habit of drinking heavily to relieve stress, leading to increased conflicts with his co-stars and sometimes causing tension on set. A personal tragedy in the 1970s, the untimely death of a loved one, left Diamond devastated, depressed, and abandoning his friends, focusing solely on his work as a way to forget his grief. He maintained a steady career doing voiceovers for cartoons and commercials. but gradually lost his passion for the spotlight, becoming more demanding and controlling over some of his later projects. Don Diamond died on June 19, 2011, at the age of 90, of a mental breakdown in Los Angeles. His total net worth, around $700,000, comes mainly from a steady acting career which, although not outstanding, still left a strong impression thanks to his unforgettable performance in Crazy Cat for many generations of audiences.